Hello nerds, and congratulations, you have wisely chosen to plug into the Nerd News Matrix this week, once again, instead of, I don't know, going out and watching another Dr. Mike video, or whatever it is the NPCs are doing this week. This week is Mudvayne back for real. Hollywood apparently is finally making a Call of Duty movie that everyone can complain about whenever it releases, and apparently Rob Schneider just threatened the world with Grown Ups 3. You know, arguing about musical subgenres with random people on the internet is a lot like arguing about which edition of D&D is better. You're both screaming about esoteric rules that nobody outside of your basement really cares about, and in the end, you're just playing make-believe with your friends. So, music, follow-ups, and corrections. First up, we have the Sex Pistols with Frank Carter. That tour that we talked about previously has officially been canceled. Apparently after Steve Jones broke his wrist, apparently 50 years of playing 3 chords really fast finally took its toll. Static X, Tony Campos, bass player from Static X, has said that the band has been talking about potentially writing some new material, which is the musical equivalent of saying you'll start your diet on Monday. And then, as promised, in today's episode of As the Filth Turns, we have updates from the Cradle of Filth debacle. We're not going to get into details, but it's very interesting. Since we last spoke, not only has Danny Filth made, I believe it's 2 more announcements, but we also have heard at least once from Zoe, who is the original member, fired, and quit, I don't remember, and at least 3 times from Ashok, her husband, who was the guitar player in Cradle of Filth until he also was fired. The back and forth is getting really messy, and kind of what it boils down to is, nah, you're wrong, nah, you're wrong, nah, you're wrong. And then in a much more serious follow-up, we have a piece from Atlanta when we got the memorial for Brent Hines, Mastodon's former guitar player, like we covered previously and as everywhere in the news world has covered, who passed away tragically a couple weeks ago in a motorcycling accident. It's awesome to see the impact he had on the city of Atlanta, and it's really awesome to see that even though they were not on the best of terms when he passed, his brothers in Mastodon still showed up and paid their respects for Brent. So pretty awesome. If you can go find video of that, absolutely do that. And that we had to follow up on that because it was too beautiful not to. Brings us into new music and videos. So for those of you needing something heavy to blast today, we have 2 brand new videos that are out this morning, September 3rd. One is from Orbit Culture with their new song Nerve, and then we have a really bizarre team up with the dudes in Lord of the Lost, whom we talk about quite frequently on this channel, and then I'm not going to say this name right, KÄÄRIJÄ. Their track together is called Raveyard, both premiering today, so as you're watching this, hopefully it was earlier today. Slipknot has finally unearthed a little bit of that new music that we've been promised from the 25th anniversary edition of their debut album, the one with the serial number as the title that I'm not going to go into all the way, that everybody just calls their self-titled because it's easier. But we have It's Me Inside is the demo that we got. This is honestly freaking awesome. The digital version of the 25th anniversary collection, so all those 9 vinyls that they released previously, will be out September 5th on Roadrunner Records, you know, for when you want to be really angry, but historically angry. And then the big news this week, probably the biggest news in music, at least for me, the thing that has everybody pulling their Jenkos out of storage is that Mudvayne has released a new track called Hurt People, Hurt People. This is their first new track in 16 years. So after all of those reunion shows and the tours and everything else, it seems that those creative juices really were flowing behind the scenes. The track absolutely is a sledgehammer of Mudvayne branded aggression, proving that even after all of this time, Chad Gray can still scream his balls off. Though, it should be noted, Ryan Martini's bass sounds much less like a transmission from another planet than I would have liked. Either way, welcome back, gentlemen. Don't be strangers, please. And not to be outdone, Avatar have announced that they're releasing their new record, Don't Go Into the Forest. And they shared a third video from this new record called Tonight We Must Be Warriors, proving once again that they honestly must have some sort of stock in a face paint company or something. And finally, for the new music stuff, we have Amy Lee, Courtney LaPlante, and Poppy teasing a new single called End of You. This definitely sounds like the lineup for the world's most emotionally devastating supergroup. Now let's talk about tours and festivals this week. Looking way ahead, Sonic Temple for 2026 have dropped the names of the first 6 bands on the bill. Probably a couple of these are headliners, I would venture. But we have Chelsea Grin, Paleface Swiss, Lorna Shore, Attila, Brand of Sacrifice, and Disembodied Tyrant. The festival takes place May 14th through 17th, again in 2026. This right here is proof, they're announcing this so early that it's never too early to start investing in your festival-induced bankruptcy. TSO, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, have announced their 2025 North American tour, so get ready for your dad to get way too excited for lasers and electric violins. And then in Blast from the Past metal news, we have Darkest Hour, Bleeding Through, God Forbid, and Nora doing a handful of shows in mid-December. You can find the link down in the description to see where those shows are. My bet is probably a VFW hall somewhere in New Jersey. And regular ass news for the music section, we have the Seattle Museum of Pop Culture closing their Nirvana exhibit. The Nirvana Taking Punk to the Masses exhibit, presumably to make room for an exhibit that is showing people how to sell t-shirts for $500 or something. And in what is apparently becoming something of a daily occurrence in the metal community, we have yet another messy band breakup. This time it's Jesus Piece, and their guitar player and vocalist are definitely airing their dirty laundry in public forums, exclusively for our grim amusement, but then somehow there's a new band that the vocalist has started that's also being called Jesus Piece, but a $sign is involved, which makes it different, I guess? Which then rounds us out to suggestions for the week. If you're looking for something that perfectly captures a moment in time, then you owe it to yourself to go listen to Days of the New Yellow album. We've talked about this in suggestions previously. It is the undisputed king of acoustic-driven post-grunge music. I know that's rather specific, but it's really awesome to get there. The musicianship is absolutely incredible. The songwriting is nothing short of haunting, and it has a very unique and dark vibe that really hasn't ever been replicated since, not even by the band. It is an absolute necessity, essential piece of 90s history, and it's your suggestion for the week. Go check it out. Sliding in here real quick before we move on, if you like this weekly nerdy review, then you want to see the channel push through, hit the like, the bell, and the subscribe too. Go on and tell your mom, your wife, your whole crew, this is a necessary evil to fight the YouTube machine, if you know what I mean. So let's just maybe do your part and help out around here. That didn't rhyme. I blew it! Gaming and tech, trying to build a gaming PC in the current market kind of makes you feel like a Jawa. Not sponsored by Jawa, but like Jawa from Star Wars, You're sifting through a bunch of overpriced, discarded parts, trying to cobble together something that isn't going to explode when you try and play Doom Dark Ages. Follow-ups and corrections. All follow-ups, no corrections. Sony has officially confirmed that their State of Play is going to be happening late this month, September 25, where they'll likely be showing off a bunch of games that we won't actually be seeing for another 3 years. So, there's that. Returning to Evo news, we now have word that a Saudi firm has acquired co-ownership of the FGC Ultimate Tournament place bracket things because nothing says grassroots competitive scene like a foreign sovereign wealth fund.
CD Projekt Red has recently come out and teased something related to Cyberpunk, which has sent fans into a frenzy of speculation that is inevitably only just going to lead to disappointment. And then we have trailers for gaming and tech this week. We have a trailer for the Fallout 76 camp revamp is the name of it. So for those of you still living in post-apocalyptic West Virginia, you now have new ways coming that are going to help you make your hovel less of a hovel. We also have a reveal trailer for BPM Bit Crushed, which I'm pretty sure is the game that Rob Scallon, music YouTuber, was helped fund or helped create to some degree. It is a rhythm-based shooter designed to give you seizures in honestly the most entertaining way. Regular ass news for gaming and tech. There are reports that a new Rayman game or maybe a remake is in the works, which is really awesome news for the 3 people who still care to play a Rayman game in 2025. The real 5D chess move that's been going on this week is Hideo Kojima is teasing his next game. Honestly, he's teasing an event that is going to be happening approximately 1 week before the Tokyo Game Show this year, 2025. As is tradition, he's being rather cryptic with this, so it has sent the fans into a bit of a frenzy, full-blown investigation internet style, it would seem. This is honestly Kojima's playground. Expect fan theories about anything to come out, from the next Metal Gear game to something completely unforeseen. Probably not Death Stranding 3, as he said he's not going to do that, but my money is just on that horror game that he was working on for Microsoft, the OD one, but I'm just an idiot. Which wraps us nicely into the suggestion this week for gaming and tech, and that is Metal Gear Solid 1. However you gotta play it. If you have an OG, then go for it. PS1 even. If you have the remaster collection on the Switch or on any of the other platforms they released that on, go for it there as well. It is very honestly a masterwork in game design that holds up surprisingly well today, blending stealth, action, and a very cinematic story to boot. This game was very much ahead of its time and is a foundational text in the language of modern gaming. So that is your suggestion for the week, Metal Gear Solid 1.
So, are you tired? There's the logo. Are you tired of energy that tastes like you just licked a 9-volt battery? Honestly, that's why I drink Dubby. It's clean energy that it gives you zero jitters, no crash. One of my favorite flavors that they have over at Dubby is the Calio Cream. Actually, today I'm drinking my other favorite flavor, the more favoriter flavor, which is the s'mores. Again, cheat code here, if you want the best flavor of the s'mores, it's to be mixed with milk, but if you mix it with coconut milk, it just sets it off to a whole nother level. So if you want to try the first s'mores flavored energy drink, which again is a whole other thing, then go to, once again, dubby.gg, that is dubby.gg, use code GenerallyNerdy at checkout to get your 10% off of everything in your cart. I get a kickback, you get some awesome stuff, and Dubby sells some merch.
Comic books and books this week. Being a comic book collector is kind of like being a historian for a world that resets approximately every 5 years. You spend all this time collecting and memorizing continuity just for some new writer to come in and throw all that out the window because they have some bold new concept. Which honestly usually boils down to just killing a C-list character for shock value. Follow-ups and corrections, comic books and books. Nothing to see here. The follow-up section is just as empty as any politician's promises, so let's keep it moving. New trailers, though. We did get a trailer this week, and that trailer is IDW dropping a trailer for their Casey Jones comic. It's Ninja Turtles, Casey Jones, is the name of the comic. And it's about time. Casey is one of the most popular characters in the franchise, outside of obviously the big five: Mikey, Leo, Donnie, Raph, and Splinter. He is the street-level vigilante that keeps everything grounded when the Turtles are off fighting, monsters from Dimension X and Triceratons. This dedicated series to him, which is currently going. This is not, a release trailer. This is a trailer letting you know that it exists. But this dedicated series to him lets him loose with his bag of sporting equipment that is long overdue, giving us a much needed dose of pure, unadulterated Gungula! And then we have some regular ass news to talk about comic books and books. Troma is expanding the world of Toxie. That's right, the Toxic Avenger is getting a new graphic novel, because if there's one thing this world needs, it's more stories about a hero who fell into a vat of toxic waste. Thundercats are getting a special one-off from Dynamite Comics for Panthro, which is still hopefully the answer to an age-old question: what the hell does he do when he's not building tanks? And then, rounding out the regular S news, Todd McFarlane is launching a brand new Spawn Dark Ages comic. It's coming out in October, and it is proof that you can never have too many books about a guy in a cape wrapped in chains. And then, suggestion for the week, since we are on the Turtle train, you absolutely need to be reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution. Its dark futuristic take on the Turtles continues the Last Ronin story, which was so widely lauded by audiences and critics. It is honestly very surprisingly poignant, but still really brutal, which is, Eastman and Laird's signature. It continues the story, like I said, and it carries the weight of the original Last Ronin book while introducing a new generation of characters, a new generation of Turtles that really feels earned and fresh, a livening up of the franchise, as it were. So that is your suggestion. TMNT, The Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution. TV show news this week. TV streaming specifically. A binge-watching TV show is a declaration of war against your own responsibilities. Every time you click watch next episode, you're telling your laundry, your dishes, your personal hygiene that they have all lost. And honestly, when the algorithm wins, don't we all kind of lose? Follow-ups and corrections in TV streaming. We have The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs is coming up on 200 episodes. And for the 200th episode, which hopefully this episode will be up before that airs, they are bringing in Gwar, which is possibly the most normal thing that has ever happened on The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. The pilot has apparently been completed for the new Buffy series, the reboot series, and we now have confirmation that the 25-year gap is in fact going to be a real element of the story. And that means we can look forward to Buffy paying her mortgage and having a bad back, I'm sure. Sitcoms are a dying breed, but we now have a little bit more news from the Scrubs reboot. Judy Reyes, I'm not going to shake her name out of my mouth, it's going to be confident. Judy Reyes, Turk's wife, is returning. She's now confirmed that she will be returning, showing us that no IP truly is allowed to die, but with Scrubs, I think we're okay with that. And then in some genuinely wonderful follow-up news, we have Warwick Davis is officially returning to the world of Harry Potter. Professor Flitwick will once again be played by Sir Warwick Davis on the new HBO Harry Potter remastered, the thing that's happening that nobody really asked for, but they're doing anyway. But it's still, Warwick Davis is always a win, so this is a win for everybody. New trailers this week for TV. Marvel has dropped its first trailer for the new Marvel Zombies series, and it is glorious. Described as hilariously violent, the trailer finally gives us a look at what happens when you let zombies loose in a world of super-powered people. Forget about shuffling walkers or even the blood zombies, as they are called in the subgenre. These guys don't just run. We have Captain America throwing his shield through people and a zombified Scarlet Witch. She could probably really just end the entire Earth with a groan. This is the hard R, no holds barred version of this story I think that we deserve as fans. We also got a new teaser trailer for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3, which mostly just reminds us that we still have to wait for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3. And Samuel L. Jackson is back in the Tulsa King Season 3 trailer, ready to yell at people in Oklahoma for another season. Regular Arts News, we only got one piece. It's real quick. This week we got the creator of Chainsaw Man, Tatsuki Fujimoto, I think I might have said that right, is getting a new anime series on Prime. Expected to be weird and bloody and also somehow emotionally scarring, which is just the way we like it, honestly. And then that brings us to our suggestion for the week. If you're looking for a show that was gone far too soon, then Firefly is that show. It is a masterclass in sci-fi Western storytelling that got canceled by clueless, 100% clueless network executives. It was screwed up by network executives, told out of sequence because reasons. It's perfect blend of character, wit, world building, and what will make you a fan for life. It is a rite of passage for any nerd to watch this series and then get super pissed off that there's not more of this series to watch. That is your suggestion for the week. Go watch Firefly, however you can get your filthy little hands on it.
All right, I'm going to interject here real quick. Think about this real quick. The Phantom of the Opera was kind of the ultimate music nerd, right? He was a socially awkward loner who was so obsessed with one artist's sound that he built an evil layer under a theater in order to get the mix just right. Now, if that's not legitimately the most metal thing that you've ever heard, then I don't know what is. So, over on the Nerdy Merch store, the Nerdy General Store, as it is kind of labeled down in the description, you can find the perfect shirt that kind of takes the ultimate gatekeeper and pairs him with a title that captures his spirit, if you will. It is said Phantom's face with music nerd scrawled across it in a font that kind of looks like it was scraped from the Dungeons of a Dragon. It is honestly a tribute to taking your hobbies way too seriously. So let's embrace our inner phantom, if you will, and let the world know that you too would cause unending amounts of chaos just to get the music you wrote correct. You can pick up the shirt by going to the link down in the description or generally-nerdy.creator-spring.com is the web URL if you want to do it that way. Otherwise, thank you very much for supporting the channel, and now let's get back to the video.
All right, now let's get into movies. Going to the movies anymore in current year is kind of an exercise in financial planning. You have to take out a small loan for the ticket and the popcorn, sit through 30 minutes of ads, and then pray that the person next to you knows how to chew with their mouth closed. It's really a magical experience, isn't it? Follow-ups and corrections, the big one I think here, this one of the big ones anyway, is Mortal Kombat 2. The movie has been delayed to May of 2026. The studio says it's because of overwhelming positive reception by the test audiences, which translates to we just trying to maximize our profits, so we're going to put it out 8 months after we said we were going to put it out. They're putting out merchandise with the original October 24th release date on it. Currently in stores now, there are Jones Soda's promotional drinks that have that release date on it. So if you find one, I'm sure it'll become a collector's item soon. But it seems that Warner Brothers really can't help themselves but to piss off the fans, because this was an executive decision. This has nothing to do with the state of the movie, because the movie is finished, it is edited, it is ready to ship. This has nothing to do with the director. That has nothing to do with reshoots. This is going to sit on a shelf for 8 months, and then they're going to send it to theaters because reasons. D23 this year, Marvel has shown a teaser for Doomsday, which has the internet abuzz, and now everybody's going to be cycling through every frame of... Really, it's just a Paul Rudd photobomb, so I don't see the excitement here. And then continuing with the absurdity in the theatrical release window news, we have Nobody 2, which was out in theaters, I don't know if you know this, not that long ago, is already available on digital. 18 days after its theatrical run. 18 days, which really gives us the idea that the concept of a theatrical run is kind of just a joke anymore. Punchline, really. Trailers for movies this week. We got one that is worth looking at, and it's Silent Hill. After years of development hell, we finally got a proper trailer for Return to Silent Hill, which it looks to be a pretty direct adaptation of Silent Hill 2, the game, which is perfect, complete with James Sunderland, the iconic fog, and even freaking Pyramid Head, because please and thank you. Here is to hoping, let's cross all of our fingers and toes, here is to hoping that they get the iconic atmosphere and the oppressive nature of the game fully captured into this movie, which is what made that story a masterpiece. Regular as news, we got to start on a downbeat. We got some sad stuff. Brilliant character actor Graham Greene has passed away at the age of 73. His Oscar-nominated role in Dances with the Wolves is probably how you might initially remember him, but he's been in all kinds of stuff, from The Last of Us. He was in The Ill-Fated Echo. He basically, anytime Hollywood needed native representation in a film, Graham Greene was the first dude they called. Greene was absolutely a phenomenal talent that brought depth, even when it was something silly. It still had just the weight of his abilities behind him, and he absolutely will be missed. So let's take a moment and remember Graham Greene.
A very strange thing, they'd hand you the script where you had this speak the way they thought native people spoke. And in order to get my foot in the door a little further, I did it. I went along with it for a while.
Give me some native talk.
Oh, from then?
No, yeah, if you're teaching me how to, okay, so Robert's gonna play a native guy. I know I probably shouldn't, but how do I talk?
Okay, you gotta look stoic. Okay, you gotta look stoic. Don't smile when he says that. And stand there like this, for God's sake, and look like that. Okay, and don't look at him.
Don't look at him. Okay.
But when you do, say, grunt a lot. You gotta grunt a lot. I said, do I do that when I'm talking to you? He said, no, you don't, but this is what the writers want. They want to see that. And I said, oh, fuck. He said, really? I suppose if I was a black man, you want to do me a hand bone and say, yes, sir, oh, right away, sir. Oh, massa, I'm telling you, but I don't know what's going on, massa. And they said, the guy looked at me, deadpan. I said, that's it. You got the look. That's perfect. That's the way you should look. That's the way I should look, the way you're looking. He didn't know what to say.
Let's pick things up. Let's get out of that slump. We have news that is kind of an inevitability considering the state of Hollywood these days, but Call of Duty movie is officially in the works at Paramount. The project has been kind of floating around for over a decade in Hollywood, but now it seems they're serious with plans for an entire cinematic universe. The biggest challenge here is going to be adapting the franchise's famous first person's perspective, which I don't know if they're actually going to try to do, but it'll be interesting. Also, the multiplayer mayhem that is associated with this as well. Let's just hope that whatever they do land on is a little bit more John Wick and a little bit less Doom. Moving along with other new adaptations of things we're familiar with, we have the writer from the 28 Years Later sequel titled Bone Temple. It's going to be out later next year. Says that the infected in his movie are not going to be purely antagonists, which is interesting, calling his version of the story the weird, deranged cousin to the original, which honestly is kind of an intriguing way to put that. And finally, the writer from the whatever exists of a Goonies sequel has gone on record to say that things are, quote, moving in the right direction, unquote, which is what they've been saying about the Goonies sequel for 40 freaking years. So as soon as something actually happens, maybe we'll believe it then. And that puts us into suggestions for movies this week. Do yourself a favor and watch Blade Runner, the director's cut. I'm not talking about the sequels. I'm not talking about the anime. I am talking about the 1982 masterpiece, the director's cut version of that. Absolutely stay away from the theatrical cut, but the director's cut is where it's at. It is sci-fi noir classic. It's the big questions about what it means to be human, and its practical effects on the miniature work. Just everything in this movie. Honestly, it looks so amazing. Even today, it looks light years better than pretty much any of the CG that we've been getting in modern science fiction and fantasy attempts. So yeah, that is your suggestion for the week, the director's cut of Blade Runner.
Maybe. It's classified.
That puts us into rumor territory, and the modern internet rumor mill is the equivalent of telling ghost stories around the campfire. The campfire is a glowing screen. The ghost is a blurry image from some sort of Avengers set reveal or leak or something. And then the story is whether or not Henry Cavill is going to play some sort of C-list Marvel character. Confirmations and refutations. We have no confirmation refutations. The confirmation machine, nothing refuted, nothing confirmed. It's just pure speculation from here on out. New sources for old rumors, though. We do have more mounting evidence that Mike Colter is going to be returning to play Luke Cage for Avengers Doomsday and Jiminy Christmas. That's going to be awesome. Not necessarily because the Luke Cage show was so great, but I really feel like he's a great casting choice for Luke Cage. Which then puts us into the brand new rumors section. There is a crazy rumor right now that is Universal is trying to build a cinematic universe that is going to join the franchises of Knight Rider, Airwolf, and the $6 billion man. It's billion now. It used to be million, but you know, it's 2025. Honestly, this sounds like the best, worst decision I've heard in a long time. And then switching back over to Marvel things, there is a really big rumor that Robert Downey Jr. has threatened to walk out of Avengers filming, Doomsday right now, and that's going to lead into Secret Wars, but he's threatened to walk out because they brought in the writing crew from the Deadpool movies, specifically Ryan Reynolds, and something that they have changed almost caused Downey Jr. to just leave the set. Because obviously, of course, that's going to piss off RDJ. Like, on the opposite side of things, we're going over to DC now. We have the voice actor for Superman in the Injustice games has been dropping little clues and things about him doing voice work for the third installment. So there are a plethora of rumors about who's going to be in the game and who is that the game is absolutely the next thing that NetherRealm is working on, which I don't know, this is pretty strong. Either way, it's still just rumor. But I say get ready for more evil Superman. And we don't get a lot of music rumors around here, but we have a music rumor. The big one here is MCR, My Chemical Romance. There is some big elaborate rumor in the fan community for this band, saying that they are secretly teasing new music. Honestly, I just think they're secretly teasing that Gerard Way needs more money. And then there's this. New rumor technically is rumor, even though this kind of comes from a reliable source. New rumor feels like a cosmic joke because Rob Schneider just confirmed at FanX Chicago, I believe it was, yes, Chicago, that they are in fact going to begin working on a Grown Ups 3 movie. Yes, you heard that right. The Adam Sandler franchise that we all have very mixed feelings about is going to be making yet another return. I mean, honestly, who asked for this? Was there some sort of focus group somewhere that decided, yes, we absolutely need more lazy Adam Sandler jokes? Honestly, the more likely situation here is that Sandler just wanted to take his buddies out on vacation again, because that's why we got the first sequel, and now we're getting a second sequel, it would seem. That's what we got for actual rumors. Now let's get into some of my own personal speculation on the rumors. First up is that Mortal Kombat 2 stuff that we were talking about. The delay is potentially not a terrible thing. It is dumb that we have a completed movie that is just going to be shelved for 8 months, but I understand the idea that we want to put this out at a more prime release time. The argument was that it's going up against some more stiff competition in October, but really May is a more lucrative month for releasing movies anyway, summer blockbusters and whatnot and what have you. I do think it is going to do fine. I don't think it's going to be a major epic blockbuster like Warner Brothers wants it to be, but it will do better than the last movie and will probably make enough money to justify a third. I think that's about as much as we can expect out of this. And then another piece of speculation here is I've heard a little bit of tell here and there that we're in the next Five Nights at Freddy's movie, so the third one, not the second one that's done and that we're just waiting for the release, but the third movie, they're talking to Nicolas Cage to do a disembodied voiceover. His one stipulation for this, though, is that he must record all of his lines from inside of one of the animatronic bodies of the characters in Five Nights at Freddy's. Apparently, he's insisting that it is essential for the method. He wants to find the caged soul inside of the machine. You heard it here first, folks. Okay. That brings us into housekeeping for the episode. I had proper housekeeping notes, and then I didn't print them. So they're not on my handy dandy printed sheet here. So we're just gonna go we'll go by rote, shoot from the hip, if you will. That we are 2 weeks away from an off week. So the week of the 16th, we would normally have an episode on the 16th of September. We are not going to likely have anything that week. That is very likely just going to be a completely dark week. So know this going forward. We won't have the news that week. I will try and make it up the following week. And then we are, from that point, approximately 3 weeks away. So 5 weeks from where we're sitting today, away from another dark-ish week. I think that week we will get some sort of something up, maybe just a suggest episode or a quick live thing before I go out of town, because I am going out of town that week. But it is going to be a weird week then. And then from there, we are yet another 2 to 3 weeks away from the off season. So just keeping tabs on all of the things. I do believe that is where we're going to end this week's episode. So thank you so much, nerds, for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.